Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive right into the pretty fascinating journey of transforming messy, raw information into brilliant, actionable insights. Look, if you have ever stared blankly at a massive spreadsheet at 2 in the morning and felt just completely overwhelmed, well, you're absolutely in the right place. We're going to master why preparing data for analysis is absolutely crucial, learn exactly how to clean and edit it so it's perfectly accurate, and we'll explore the absolute best ways to present your findings clearly using tables and visuals. By the end of this, you're going to have the skills to communicate your research effectively to literally any audience. Let's kick things off with this really powerful metaphor straight from our source material. It says, raw data is like an uncut diamond that requires proper processing and presentation to reveal its true value. And, that's just a perfect way to think about it. In its natural state, the data we collect is incredibly valuable. It's packed with potential, but it's also completely unusable. You can't just hand someone an uncut rock and expect them to magically see the final brilliant gem, right?
So that begs the ultimate question. What good is a diamond if it just stays buried in the rough? In the reality of everyday business research, having massive piles of data means absolutely nothing if you don't actually take the steps to prepare it. Because without proper preparation, your data is going to have errors, weird inconsistencies, or missing values that will literally lead your entire analysis astray. Data preparation isn't just some nice-to-have optional step. It is an absolute non-negotiable necessity for building a solid foundation for your decision-making.
Section 1. The rough stone. Understanding data. Before any polishing begins, we have to understand the initial state of our raw materials. Data, in the context of business research, is just a collection of facts, figures, words, or observations, and it can come from literally everywhere. User input from surveys, sensors like GPS systems, or just routine business operations like inventory logs.
Now, there is a fascinating and actually pretty fast contrast between the two main types of data you're going to encounter. First up, quantitative data. This one is all about the numbers. It answers questions like how much or how many. Think of your total sales revenue for the year, or maybe the exact number of products you sold. It is perfectly measurable. Then, on the flip side, we have qualitative data. This focuses way more on descriptions and meanings, answering why and how. This is that rich feedback you get from customer interviews, when someone says, hey, this product is very useful. It really helps us understand human behaviors and sentiments.
Let's look at how this builds into the broader structures that data can take. Because data isn't always just simple numbers or text. We have structured data, neatly organized into rows and columns, kind of like what you'd see in an Excel sheet. Then there's unstructured data, which basically has no defined format at all. Sitting right in the middle is semi-structured data. Think of emails that have a perfectly structured header, but totally unstructured message content. We've also got metadata, which is incredibly useful data about data, like the date a file was created. And finally, big data. These are massive, super complex data sets from real-time sources like social media or IoT devices, and they allow us to predict trends on a scale we've just never seen before.
Section 2, the cutting room, significance and processing. So we've gathered our raw stones, and now we actually have to systematically transform them into meaningful outputs. Data processing is that absolutely crucial bridge between just collecting information and actually analyzing it.
And the stakes here are very, very real. The source makes a brilliant point. Flawed data equals flawed decisions, which equals financial loss, period. If a company goes ahead and analyzes sales data that is absolutely riddled with errors or missing values, they are definitely going to make poor business decisions based on that bad info. That is exactly why we process it. We're literally protecting the organization's bottom line.
Section 3, the 3 C's of cleaning. So how do we actually rescue our data from these flaws? Well, we execute what is essentially a vital rescue mission for truth, and we use a highly memorable framework to do it. Let's walk right through these 3 vital C's. First, we have to make our data complete. That means addressing any missing data gaps. For example, if a survey has empty fields for, say, income, you might use a placeholder like the average income just to fill that gap. Second, it's got to be consistent. You need to make sure the data you collected is completely uniform in format and meaning throughout the entire study. And third, it has to be correct. This means going in and eliminating duplicate records that could totally skew your results, and carefully evaluating outliers using statistical methods to decide if they actually belong in your analysis or if they're just noise.
Section 4, editing for accuracy. All right, so once the data is cleaned, we move right on to editing. This is the procedure of substituting inconsistent values to prepare the entire data set for analysis. Basically, you're examining the data specifically to detect any lingering errors or omissions and correcting them so that everything aligns just perfectly. Imagine you are reviewing some survey answers, right? And you suddenly notice mixed measurements. Some respondents used square feet and others used square meters. Well, you obviously can't compare those directly. So the editing process is where you convert all those mixed values into a single standardized unit, like making absolutely everything square meters. This step just ensures your data is as accurate, complete, and uniform as humanly possible.
Section 5, Setting the Stone, Presentation. Our diamond is fully cut, and now it is time to set it. This is the actual art of communicating your findings effectively to your audience. We're logically organizing and displaying this beautifully polished data so that anyone can easily grasp the complex patterns we've discovered.
The absolute best first step to do this is through tabular presentation, organizing data into simple, clean rows and columns. When you're dealing with numerous facts, summarizing them in a table just strips away all the clutter. And we can arrange this data logically in a few different ways. We could use an alphabetical arrangement, which is perfect for locating states in census data, for instance. We could use a geographical arrangement by region, or we might use a chronological arrangement, ordering data over a period of time, like showing population growth from 1961 to 2001. Tables just provide exact precision and wonderful clarity.
Section 6, Visualizing the Insights. You know, sometimes numbers in a table can still feel pretty dense. Turning those raw facts into an immediately impactful visual format seriously relieves the mental strain for your audience. It gives them a bird's-eye view of the entire dataset at a glance, and it leaves a lasting impression. So the absolutely crucial point here is knowing exactly which visual tool to pull from your researcher's tool belt to instantly win over your business team. Let's look at the core options. You're going to want to use a line graph when you need to show trends and continuous variables over time. Grab a histogram for frequency distributions so you can see exactly how often certain values pop up. A bar diagram is excellent for comparing group data. The physical length of the bars clearly shows you the differences in values. And a pie chart is always your go-to for showing the proportionate distribution of a single dataset. Think about a pie chart showing sales distribution by product category. Your audience can instantly see that product A makes up 40% of the pie, visually dominating all the other categories. You literally don't need them to read the exact numerical data buried in a spreadsheet. The visual summary delivers the insight immediately. It's compelling, it's appealing, and it's highly communicative. Which brings us to our final big thought for today. Is your data actually driving your decisions, or is it just taking up space? By mastering these vital preparation techniques, cleaning out the errors, editing for consistency, and choosing the absolute perfect tabular or visual presentation, you completely transform raw, unstructured information into actionable knowledge. You actually reveal the true value of that uncut diamond. I really hope this explainer leaves you eager to tackle your own messy spreadsheets and start communicating your research findings with total confidence.